Alright, the squad. Recently I made a video comparing the heights and weights of the current AEW and WWE shows. The purpose of that video was to find out if the AEW roster was actually as small as people say it was. It wasn't. But also to show that there really isn't much difference between the two rosters. As usual, the Hawk was right on both counts, but it left people asking for more. People wanted to see a comparison with the Attitude Era. So the purpose of this video is to find out just how much the roster has shrunk by in the last 2 decades and a half. This is not a knock on the current product, it's really just an investigation because thinking about it, I'm as curious as you are about your best friend. So let's get into it. Same rules apply, I tried to pick 2 shows with a similar amount of matches, build weights and build height only. And we won't bother with the women. Let me know as this video goes along whose height and weight is complete cap. I always find that amusing because as we know, wrestlers add extra height and weight onto their real size. Let's get the battle underway.
Round 1. Fight!
We're using an episode of Raw from May 1998 and a very recent episode of Raw for our comparison. And this show starts out with Drew McIntyre, so we're off to a good start because Drew is a big angry guy. He would have fit perfectly into the Attitude Era just based on his body. He is 6'5", 265 pounds. He cuts a promo before being interrupted by another big man, Damian Priest. Wow, this just isn't going how anybody expected. This is another big guy, again at 6'5" and 249 pounds. After the big guys finish their promo, we get a women's match which we can skip for the purpose of this video. Another promo takes place, but this time backstage, and we have the Judgment Day and Carlito. We've already counted Priest earlier, but we've got a mixture of new guys here to deal with. Carlito is billed on the WWE website as 5'10", 220 pounds. Next to him is Dominic Mysterio, and I'm not sure if it's Carlito's hair making him look bigger, but somehow Dominic is 3 inches taller than him even if he doesn't look it. He is 6'1", 200 pounds. I noticed a lot of people in the last video couldn't comprehend that. Finn Balor is 5'11", 190 pounds, and JD McDonough is 5'10", 180 pounds. That ends the opening effort from Raw, and in case you were wondering, no, the Hawk didn't plan on the wrestlers slowly getting smaller as the segment moved along, so we've got to work out where they finished. The average height in the opening segment was just over 6'1", and the opening weight was 217 pounds. Let's see what the Attitude Era has to offer. Well, straight away we've got a decision to make, because Mr. McMahon starts the show, and he's not a wrestler, but he was one of the biggest stars of the Attitude Era, and he did wrestle over 30 matches, 57 to be exact. Not a bad catalogue of work when he wasn't pulling down his knickers and dumping on people. He'd only wrestled 2 matches at this point in his career, but I think he counts. McMahon is 6'2" and 248 pounds, meaning that this non-wrestler is both heavier and taller than the average wrestler nowadays. He brings out Dude Love, which is the cleanest I've seen Foley look. Foley is billed at 6'2", but claims that he's actually 6'4" and is the only WWE wrestler to actually be taller than his apparent height. But we can't count that because we're only doing build heights here. So he's 6'2" and 287 pounds before lunch. Then they're joined by Gerald Briscoe, who wasn't supposed to be considered a wrestler at this point in his life, but they kept putting him in matches during the Attitude Era, so he counts too, damn it. His height is 6'2" and 227 pounds. Patterson, the other stooge, also counts, and he's 6'1", 237 pounds. We're going to switch back to the modern day Raw in a moment because this show is longer than during the Attitude Era, but first let's see who won the opening exchange. We already know that modern day Raw gave us an opening round of 6'1" and 217 pounds, but the Attitude Era Raw gives us an average of 6'1.5" and 250 pounds. The Attitude Era wins the first round.
Round 2. Fight!
Back to current day, and Chad Gable is giving a dressing down to his Alpha Academy. We already know from the last video that Gable is a small man at 5'8", but he is still a respectable 202 pounds. Along with him we've got Otis. He is 5'10", but 330 pounds. Tozawa, oh dear, he's 5'7", 156 pounds. Turns out Gable isn't the smallest man this time out. This is not a good second round. It keeps going bad as Kofi Kingston is the next man out, 6 foot only, 212 pounds. We cut away before that match can happen to an interview with the Awesome Truth. As we learned in the last video, both guys are 6'2", 220 pounds each. That gives Raw a second round height of just under 5'11" and a second round weight of 223 pounds, which is skewed heavily by Otis. We come back to the Attitude Era now to see DX invading WCW with a tank. I'm not sure who the guy driving the tank is, but aside from that, we'll start with the smallest guy who is of course X-Pac, but he's still listed as being 6'1", 212 pounds. Next we've got the Road Dogg, who is 6'2", 241 pounds. The Game, Triple H, who is 6'4", 255 pounds. And finally, B.A. Billy Gunn, who is 6'3", which actually seems kind of low for him, and 260 pounds. In the back, Kevin Kelly thinks he's meeting with Stone Cold Steve Austin, but instead he's disappointed to meet Al Snow. Snow is 6'1", 235 pounds. He's another guy that you don't really think of as being over 6 foot due to the way he was presented during the Attitude Era. Then Vader walks out for a match. Here we go. He is 6'5" and 456 pounds. He takes on Barry Windham. What a strange Attitude Era match. Barry is 6'6", 273 pounds. Also at ringside on Barry's side is Bodacious Bart at 6'3", 258 pounds, and Bombastic Bob Holly at 6'1", 235 pounds. That's surely enough guys now, so let's do the maths. WWE finished this segment with a huge average of just under 6'3" and an average weight of 269 pounds. Yeah, this is starting to get silly. An easy second round victory for the Attitude Era.
Round 3. Fight!
Back to 2024, and finally we get some help as Gunther walks out. Gunther is 250 pounds and 6'4". Shame he's not fat anymore, it would have really helped out. He dispatches of a miserable Kofi Kingston, who then gets laughed at in the back by Karrion Kross. He's another big guy who really needs to shave off his hair. I barely recognised him. He is also 6'4", 265 pounds. Xavier Woods hands Kofi some ice as they both ponder the future of their careers. It's not looking good. He is 5'11", 205 pounds. It was going well until he showed up. Things quickly improve as Big Bronson Reed bounces out. He's 5'11", 330 pounds, and he's facing Tozawa with Gable, who we've both seen tonight already. There is someone new in the next segment though, as Gunther talks to a turtleneck twat Ludwig Kaiser. He is 6'3", 220 pounds. Now the new Catch Republic have a blink and you miss it interview. They are Peter Dunne, who is 5'10", 205 pounds, and Tyler Bate with 5'7", only 175 pounds. Gee, thanks for coming guys. Bron Breakker, the Steiner Shaker, also has an interview. He's only 6 foot and 230 pounds, which means he isn't juicing like his dad or his uncle. That draws this entry to a close. The final height was 6 foot and the weight was 209 pounds. A really mixed bag. Back to 1998 we go. Stone Cold Steve Austin, the Texas Rattlesnake, is here. He is 6'2", 252 pounds. The next match is the Legion of Doom 2000, and it's Hawk at 277 pounds and 6'3", whilst Animal is 6'1", 285 pounds. The big boys keep coming because they're facing the Harris brothers. As they are identical twins, that makes life easier. Both Harris boys are 6'5", 290 pounds. Meanwhile, in a funny segment, Bradshaw is teaching Taka Michinoku to smoke and drive. This was a fun odd couple. Bradshaw is 6'6" and 290 pounds, while Taka is just 5'8", 187 pounds. That's probably enough guys for now. That gives the Attitude Era an average height of 6'2.5" and a weight of 267 pounds. That's the closest it's been overall, but the Attitude Era still takes a third victory.
Round 4. Fight!
Back to the present day, and we get an interview of Jey Uso next, who is 6'2", 228 pounds. Sami Zayn bounces out to have a match. Sami is 6'1", 212 pounds. He faces Otis, who once again we've already seen tonight. Fortunately, Braun Strowman is in the back. The big man is 6'8" and 335 pounds. The men he talks to aren't as big though, the Creed brothers. Julius Creed is 6'3", 230 pounds, and Brutus Creed is 5'11", 285 pounds. The only other man to turn up in this round is Dragunov, who stands at 5'9", 205 pounds. That'll do for this round. There we go, that's a bit more like it. Overall 6'1.5" and an impressive weight of 249 pounds. Thank you, Braun. Back to the Attitude Era, which may not actually top that one. Bradshaw and Taka are jumped by the original Kaientai. These are some small guys, so it's looking like a loss for the Attitude Era. Dick to go is the biggest at 5'7", 200 pounds. Funaki is 5'7" also and 180 pounds. And Men's Teu, who is... I don't even know. Some sites have him as low as 5'5". He never had a singles match either, so I'm just going to give him 5'7" and 176 pounds. It's not much however you look at it. Oh no, I know that music. A wild Slapnuts appears.
Jeff Jarrett.
There you go guys, all of you said he was missing from the last height and weight video. Slapnuts is apparently 6 foot, 230 pounds. Farouk enters to rap music? I don't recall this period of his career. Can't have been that good because he seems to be having a pointless tag team with Steve Blackman. Farouk is 6'2", 270 pounds, and Blackman is 6'2", 244 pounds. Farouk's going to win this fight by DQ because the Godfather and Mark Henry both rush the ring. Godfather is 6'6" and 330 pounds, and Henry is 6'4", 360 pounds. Wow, I have no idea which way this round is going now. Val Venus gets one of his classic video packages. He is 6'3", 244 pounds. Along with that, we've got a confrontation between Sable and the marvellous Mark Mero. Mero is 6'1", 235 pounds. Then the Undertaker appears. Jesus, it's like they're trying their damnedest to catch up after the Kane appearance. The Taker is billed at 6'10" and 309 pounds. He attacks Jerry Lawler, who stands at 6 foot and 236 pounds. Wow, there's a lot of people on this show, whilst the modern day is just long matches. Kane interrupts the Undertaker, and Kane is yet another huge man standing at... Wait, they build him at 7 foot sometimes? I remember him being 6'8". I'm going with 6'8" and 330 pounds. Wow, let's add this up then. I have no idea what's going to happen. The finishing height for round 4 is 6'1.5". Wow, those Kaientai guys really screwed this up for them. It would have been 6'3.5" without them. But that's not the game that we're playing here. The weight was 257 pounds. Yet again, the Attitude Era wins. Will this be a clean sweep? Let's do our 5th and final round.
Round 5. Fight!
Back in present day, we've got a 4-way tag match, but we've already seen 3 of the teams tonight. The only new guys to show up are the Authors of Pain. Razar at 6'4", 330 pounds, and Akam at 6'2", 290 pounds. So that is some really good news. And then, somehow, nobody new turns up for the entirety of the rest of Raw. I think that's really telling on how different the shows are nowadays. Long matches with a core of guys on each show, whilst the Attitude Era has everybody doing something, but not much focus on the matches. So Raw will end round 5 with a height of 6'3" and a weight of 310 pounds. I guess it's all up to the Authors of Pain to win this one. Those are some respectable numbers right there, let's find out. Back in 1998 land, the Nation of Domination are back, but this time they've got The Rock and Owen Hart with them. The Rock is 6'4" and 275 pounds, and Owen Hart is just 5'10" and 227 pounds. So far, the Attitude Era is heading for a loss. D'Lo Brown's also here at 6'3" and 268 pounds. It's not going well, and there's not many guys left they can call on, so out walks Dustin Runnels, who will help their cause. Dustin is 6'6" and 232 pounds. He burns his old Goldust outfit. We've now got a handicap tag match. Too Cold Scorpio at 5'11" and 229 pounds, and Terry Funk with 6'1", 247 pounds. I'm smart enough to know that this isn't good enough. They face Kaientai, who fortunately we wouldn't have to count them again, because otherwise it would be game over. Well, as it turns out, there is nobody new left, and we close out the show with a lot of old faces fighting. So, for the final time, let's give you the Attitude Era. The average height for round 5 is 6'1.5", and the weight was 246 pounds. The Authors of Pain did it. They won round 5 for modern day WWE. But as you all know, that isn't good enough for the Hawk. We need to know who actually won on this episode overall, and just how much of a size difference there was in the size of wrestlers between 1998 and 2024. So starting with 2024, the final average height on the show was just under 6'1", and the weight, which was 241.6 pounds. Very similar to the last height and weight video I did. It's good to know that they're consistent at dieting and their posture. How bad have the Attitude Era destroyed them? Let's find out. The average height in this episode of Raw from 1998 was 6'2", and the weight was 258 pounds. The Attitude Era wins, but to be honest, not by as much as I expected. Maybe next time we should go further back, or maybe do the WCW compared to now. You know, the golden age of steroids when everyone was shoving them up their ass. Let the Hawk know, did any of these findings surprise you? Did you expect the Attitude Era to win by more of a margin? Let me know in the comments, of course, and if you don't agree with that, I'll beat you with force.